Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Bruce B. Baird, and you're listening to the Productive Dentist Podcast. In this podcast, I will give you everything that I've learned over the last 40 years in dentistry, working with thousands of dentists. I'll tell you, it's not that my way is the only way, it's just one that has worked extremely well for me, and I'd love to share that with you so you too can enjoy the choices and lifestyle that productivity allows. More time for things you love, increased pay, better team relationships, and lowered stress. Let's get into it with this week's episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast. Hi, this is Dr. Bruce Baird with the Productive Dentist Podcast, and I have a special guest today. We're talking to Sara Hansen. She is with the Phoenix Dental Agency. Sara, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. I love being here.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, we've got a lot to talk about because marketing is probably one of the most difficult businesses to be in because you can bring people to their doctors, you can bring them to them, but they don't schedule because they may not have the people answering the phone or doing all these things. And so they blame you when it's really not. And then marketing gets really confusing because people think, well, if I just throw enough stuff up on the wall that it's going to work. But dental agency has a different way of approaching. Tell me a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me a little.
You're exactly right. I think people often think about marketing, they think Google ads or they think about a website. And while, yes, that is part of marketing, it's actually just a product. So we differ from a lot of marketing companies because we really approach marketing as more of a strategy, a comprehensive strategy, really a marketing system within your practice. Marketing, when we talk about attraction strategies, what does that look like? Really, the goal of marketing when we just think about attraction only is to get your phone to ring. But what we know about marketing is it does not stop there. The new patient journey continues through the entire new patient experience, really until those patients continue to accept treatment and refer their friends and family. That is the full marketing funnel. So while yes, it's important to get patients coming through your door, if they do not schedule appointments, now your cost of acquisition, is really high and nothing has come from that. So again, it's like when we talk about marketing, it's not just about getting your phone to ring. It's not just about having a website presence. It's not, it really is the full patient journey and what that looks like the entire way through the patient journey. But it is so much more comprehensive than that. And I think that is where doctors really get a little bit stuck sometimes, is really understanding a full marketing system and what that entails. And of course, we know doctors aren't going to fully understand it, right? That's why they have our support and other support of consultants and agencies coming in. But really what we know is that doctors who fully take on a full comprehensive marketing strategy and marketing system within their practice, and then activate those marketing systems at the correct time within their practice, see substantial growth and value added to their practice. And they are like blown away by how successful they really can be when they activate marketing at the right times with the correct strategies.
Sure. It kind of reminds me a little bit, there's a lot of dentists that would love to be a fee-for-service dentist, that would love that.
Yeah.
They're stuck in this insurance world. And that really, for many is their marketing strategy. It is a PPO sending me patients, but are they the patients that are going to create the kind of business that I want to have for the and you may start out differently. That's what you were saying. Sometimes you start with one strategy, and that's great, but that strategy has to evolve. And I know myself personally, I really looked at the longer at first. Yeah, you just want to have people in the door, but is that what you want 5 years into practice, 10 years, 20 years into practice? It changes. And as a dentist, as we become more comprehensive in our diagnosis and treatment planning, there are dentists that's what they do. There's also dentists that are the Crown of the Month Club. There's different strategies for both, you could to the Crown of the Month Club people, specifically saying, hey, do you want to have a crown made the same day? That's one strategy. It's going to bring a Crown of the Month in. But then there's also strategies that um, can initiate patients to say, wow, it's branding. I mean, this office is a comprehensive office. This office is not branded. It just is, I'm just taking people as they come.
At Productive Dentist Academy, we've helped thousands of private practice owners find the clarity inside their data and take control again, starting with a free 60-minute coaching session. Head over to investmentgradepractice.com right now before the next patient sits down to claim your free 60-minute coaching session. That's investmentgradepractice.com.
Tell me a little bit. One of the things that I'm really excited about with Phoenix Marketing is the internal marketing strategy. Most people think marketing is external. We're just going to go out and we're going to bombard the neighborhood with flyers and all kinds of crap. That's not really what it is, but I mean, it can be, but a little bit about this internal component. And
I mean, Bruce, I think some of these stats because you and I talked before, but I think most dentists would be shocked to know that offices are sitting on at least 500,000, but most are sitting on close to $1 million, if not more than $1 million of revenue just sitting in their practice. And what happens is dentists get hyper focused on, I need more new patients. I need more new patients to grow their practice. And what we're finding is that they don't. Well, yes, maybe having external strategies is important. Yes, we do that as well. But why are we paying for additional external strategies when we have $1 million of revenue sitting in our practice? It does not make sense, right? So, and what we know about those patients that are already in your practice is, our practices get really chaotic and busy, and the patient will come through the new patient journey and somehow they fall through the cracks. We know that if we don't have, again, those marketing systems in our practice, which a lot of practices don't, and it's not that they don't try or they don't have them, but what we're creating with a marketing system is those durable systems that remain through the practice, no matter what team member is sitting in those seats. But what happens is those patients are just quietly disappearing. And, if we don't have some type of strategy where we're constantly reaching out to them, and what we know is that your team members who make phone calls last minute because, oh, shoot, we have some holes in the schedule this week, that's not effective. And that's where the doctors start to see that roller coaster of, crazy times and holes in the schedule, crazy times and hole in the schedule. So what we try to do is when we're maximizing the revenue that you already have sitting in that practice, to we're removing the chaos from the practice, because we know that doctors, to be profitable and create value in the practice, we have to remove the chaos. And then we're tapping into what they already have. When we talk about return on investment with marketing, we know that when it comes to cost of acquisition, your best return on investment will always come from internal referrals. However, most team members are afraid to ask, right? So it just never happens. So when we combine, referrals, the re-engagement campaigns, all that stuff, now all of a sudden we can grow a practice $500,000 a year, and they have spent hardly anything on external marketing. And the doctors are blown away by, wow, okay, Sara, how do we continue doing this? And then what's great is, again, when we talk about activating now different marketing systems within the practice, now they're bringing on an associate, right? Now they're growing in a different way. And now we can activate different external campaigns. But until we have really tapped into that internal marketing, I always tell doctors, hey, you have no business spending thousands of dollars on external marketing when you have got revenue sitting right inside your practice. It just, from a profitability standpoint, it does not make sense. So
all of us have that. I mean, we've got millions of dollars sitting in our deal in our office. And what's frustrating, but it's not frustrating because we don't know it. Because, as I was practicing and just going crazy during the day and everything else, we had a healthy new patient flow. Well, that's fine. But what about a healthy new patient flow that was saying yes to treatment? Well, that's a different conversation. That's where we should.
Exactly.
That's where we start working. That's what PDA does. We work with the docs to get patients to say yes, and we have financing. We develop all these things, but it's those folks that just I spend 20 minutes with, 30 minutes of my day, explaining to them, going through risk factors, going through all these things, and then they don't schedule. And then I feel like not only have I spent money to get the patient in there for me to talk to, I've spent 30
Yep.
my time talking to them, and now they disappear. And without a strategy
Yes.
back, then oh my gosh, we're just wasting good money after bad, or bad money after good, or whatever it is, whatever the saying is. But
Yes.
I know that
Yes.
PDA really, when I look at Phoenix Dental Agency, I mean, yes, if you're looking for just a website and the cheapest website or the cheapest way to do direct I'm going to send out flyers. I'm looking at that. We're more Phoenix is more of a agency that actually looks at the big picture and
Yes.
strategically based on how long someone has been in practice and what they want to do. Tell me a little bit more about that and how you look at different practices and how you figure that out, because you guys are
Yeah.
freaking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so first of all, we approach every practice and we say, hey, doctor, what business problem do you want marketing to solve? Right. We don't just come into a practice and start saying, hey, let's run some Google ads and see what happens. I mean, what we know about every practice is there's usually an end goal in mind for every doctor. At the end of the day, all these dentists are entrepreneurs, they're businessmen and women. And so we want to make sure that whatever marketing strategy that we put in place, that there are goals attached, that there's a strategy attached, that we have a plan, and that it's making sense as far as the business goes. So again, we're not just, putting ads up to what is the strategy? What is the goal behind it? So that's why really we focus on marketing systems. And when is the right time to activate when? We know that a doctor who's been practicing 2 to 3 years needs something much different than a doctor who's practicing 10 to 15 years. And so where we come into marketing is we don't work with a doctor for 6 months to a year, right? That really are not the doctors that we're looking to work with. We're looking to work with a doctor who says, hey, I want to grow the best practice possible. I want my team to be high caliber team. I want to have high caliber marketing and I want to attract high caliber patients. If a doctor is looking for patients that are just like wanting a new patient special and go from doctor to doctor, we are not your marketing company, right? We are really looking for the doctor that says, I want those high end patients, or I want the patients that value treatment. Those are the doctors that we love working with because, again, we are really big about having a full strategy. Hey, doctor, right now, this is what we're going to work on with you because this is where your business is going. This is how we're going to get you to that next level. Once they hit that milestone, now it's time to activate this part of your marketing strategy, right? We work with them for 6 months, 9 months. They hit those goals. Now it's time to activate the next part. So with these doctors, again, your business is always evolving. It's always changing. You're needing things at different points. So really your marketing never stops. It just changes. And so that is really how we grow and change and evolve with the doctor and the practice with the needs of what they need. Again, it really is about understanding. All of us come from the dental industry, right? So we know, I mean, I was an office manager for many years, so I know what it's like answering the phone. I know how important that very first phone call is. So again, we can run the greatest ads in the world, but if your team is not great on that first impression, then all of your marketing is not going to work. So again, it really is about understanding the full strategy, how your team comes in, training them properly. But our messaging is really important and we come from a place of authenticity. So we are not the marketing company that's going to send you 200 leads and hope that 5 of them are the patients that you want, right? We are really about quality over quantity. We're going to send you 30 leads of high-end patients, the ones that you say, hey, Sara, I really love to do sedation. I really love to change people's lives. The patients that are terrified to come to the dentist, those are the ones I want. And those are the patients that we find for you. There's so many different ways to market, but again, we have really set ourselves in the industry to be the marketing company that grows with the practice, that becomes one with the team. We really want to be your partner. And that's why we look at all the different aspects of the practice. So again, we're not just a marketing company that does Google ads only or just does websites only. We really are a comprehensive agency as well, because again, we know that the practice needs different things at different times. And that's where I think marketing becomes really, really fun. I say that marketing is fun because, again, what a doctor needs right out of school, starting up a practice is much different than what they need 20 years in. And even as they're getting ready to, what's their exit plan? How do we build the most value for their EBITDA? Your marketing strategy looks much different at that point than it did, 2 or 3 years in. So again, you're always needing marketing. You just need it in different ways. And that's where we really partner with these doctors for the long term to say, hey, let's activate what you need at the right times. And you may not have to spend a lot, but you always need someone by your side saying, hey, now's the right time to do this. Now's the right time to do that. And our doctors who have done that have been incredibly successful. Bruce, you can probably speak to that a little bit when you kind of let someone like take the reins and say, okay, here's what you need to do when you kind of saw the success of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. Dentistry it can be a fickle friend because, we're not trained in business. We're not trained, most of us,
Yeah.
we learn how to drill and fill and do all the things and maybe make beautiful veneers and do all that kind of stuff. But, or we go to seminars and we go to this stuff and we want to come home and we want to all of a sudden have hundreds of patients that need what you want to do, but you don't know how to get them. And, I'm curious, you know, price, when we start talking about
Yeah.
cost and how often do you have dentists come to you? This is probably a loaded question. How often do you have dentists that come to you that actually know what their budget is for marketing? I mean, they go, okay, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to spend 1 or 2% because is that kind of is that unusual if somebody comes in actually that has a budget?
Y- Yeah, what's interesting, Bruce, is most doctors come and say, how do I spend the least amount possible for marketing? Is really what they say. And sometimes they'll pride themselves on, I hardly spend anything for marketing, right? Which, yes, I mean, of course, we don't, that's where, again, tracking is really important. So, which is, again, why we push internal marketing really hard, right? That's why we are big believers on tapping into what you already have, who don't have to spend a ton on external marketing. However, Bruce, if I'm going to say to you, hey, I can get you a 30-to-1 return on investment, why would you not invest into your business, right? To make it more profitable and that sort of thing. So again, it's not necessarily about trying to not spend as much. It's about spending the right amount for your goals. Again, what business problem is marketing solving? So we always recommend, 4 to 8%, but again, it depends on where the practice is. If you can be at 4%, great. As you're trying to grow, maybe you're trying to add a second location, maybe you're bringing in 2 associates. Of course, you're going to want to push your budget more for 8%, right? So it really does just depend on the practice. But what we know is if you invest in your business and you can get massive returns back in your business, then you're really not spending 8%, right? You're actually getting far more back in your business than you've ever spent. So, really it's like, yes, maybe you're spending it, but you're really not. I mean, Bruce, you refer to that as what? Net zero marketing?
What other business doesn't market? I mean,
Right.
furniture store, they're spending 15, 20, 25% of their budget so that they can sell items that they make a 6% margin on, but yeah,
Yeah.
the thing that I look at, and I've been a marketer, I marketed my practice at 8% for 25 years, almost 30 years. And what I found in teaching and at Productive Dentist Academy, one of the things that I found was every year the docs that were coming in, their percentage of team overhead kept going higher. Meaning back in the day, and even today, I will tell you, you should have a team overhead of 20%. people go, oh my gosh, 20%. It's not unusual to see people at PDA that have a 31, 32, 33% team overhead.
Yeah.
That means everything you spend on your team, they're spending 30%, 33% of their budget on team expenses. Now, they would say, how do I solve this, Bruce? Do I get rid of people? I go, no, you need to start producing more. You need to more dentistry. You need to get more people to say yes, and you need to do more. You have plenty of people to help you. I know guys that have, when I retired, clinically, our team overhead was 17.5%, but I was spending 8% in marketing. Now these groups or these docs that have a 30% team overhead, they're spending 1%. And they're wondering, why is my team overhead so high? It makes no sense business-wise. I'm going to only spend 1%, but I have to have these people. And so it ends up causing, it really is very non-profitable. I mean, so as we do net zero marketing, I spend 8%, but it drives my team overhead from, say, 28% or 29 down to 24.
Yep.
Well, now it's free marketing. So I think dentists they don't understand that if I spend money here and the pie gets bigger, that this actually goes away. And so me, and in my career, as I got more experienced in train wrecks, I wanted to fix the full mouth. I wanted to do that. Then that's where our marketing dollars began to be spent. And our average new patient, this is hard for people to believe, but our average new patient was coming 50, 60, 70 miles away to our little office in Granbury, Texas. Why? Because we branded ourselves as being the place for that. So if you're a high end, but you're still wondering how can we possibly make this happen, you really have to understand the principle of net zero marketing. If I spend more, it actually drives all my other expenses, not just team overhead. It drives, facility expense should be somewhere around 3 to 5%. But if all of a sudden that productivity, guess what? My facility expense just went from 5 to 2.5. Well, that's 2.5 to do something else with. So I think dentists get stuck in this. In this scarcity mentality, when you don't want to do that. But what I love about Phoenix and what they do is they'll begin oftentimes in this internal marketing first. It's not the most expensive. You're going to spend money, obviously, but you're bringing in people you've already talked to. You're bringing in people that you've already seen that just didn't quite get on the schedule. So now you're actually putting some fuel on the fire. But then if the philosophy goes forward and says, okay, we're going to do this internal marketing, but once we see our growth in our productivity, once we see our growth in our EBITDA, I want to commit to spending, okay, I was at 1% or 2%. Now I want to go to 5. I want to see how that goes. I want to go to what I can tell dentists beyond a shadow of a doubt, you can spend 8% and you will do better than if you're spending 2 or 3 with Phoenix. And I will tell you that if you spend 10%, you still wouldn't notice the difference. If you spent 12%, you would still just continue to grow, but all your other hard costs, your fixed costs would go down. And I use team as a fixed expense. So that's one of the things I love about Phoenix. And what other things do you guys look at it? Because I know it always comes down to the dentist, I want to spend as least amount as I can. You guys, how do you convert that? And I do think having that internal marketing as an initial, let's do this.
So our philosophy, you can say is, we really believe in marketing. We call it from the inside out. So we believe, and Bruce, you spoke to this, is you didn't start out by saying, hey, I want to attract people that drive 2 hours to see me, right? You didn't start out like that. So we talk about stepping into marketing. This is where you talk about when is the right time to activate your system, right? And this is why really marketing is a system. Marketing is not products. And again, no marketing companies talk about this. And this is why, I hear doctors, they tell me every day, Sarah, my marketing wasn't working. I was with a company, it wasn't working. And the reason being, because they were product based. You have to have a marketing system, which again encapsulates so many different things. So when you feel like, hey, my marketing is not working, I guarantee it's because we're not looking at the full picture. So we look at marketing first. We call it, you have to own your building, right? That is your internal marketing piece. Now, when I say to doctors, hey, doctors, would you be surprised to know that in 60 days we could grow your practice $90,000? I mean, they look at me like, there's no way. I'm like, it's true, right? Because again, when you tap into what you already have, we're no longer marketing to strangers who don't know you, that you have to build trust. It's really hard to do that. But we're tapping into patients that have already seen you, they've already known you, they know your team. There was just something that was a disconnect. And oftentimes it's not even you, it could be something in their own life, right? They just have to be reminded that that treatment is important and it's time to come in. So, I mean, we run campaigns all the time for multiple doctors, and monthly we're bringing in at least $35,000-$40,000 a month back on the books for these doctors, and the doctors aren't doing anything to do it, right? They're spending such a little amount. So I mean, we have doctors that we're bringing in $100,000 a month back in revenue, which is crazy. But again, that is the reality of internal marketing. So once you own your building, which is referrals, reviews, re-engagement, then we say, now you're going to move on to your block. So that is, what type of educational material do you have? What community events do you participate in? What type of email blast do you have? That sort of thing. So again, we're stair stepping into that bigger thing. Then we say that you own your neighborhood, right? And what does that look like? So again, now maybe we start dabbling in, bigger branding campaigns with Google and Facebook and that sort of thing. Then eventually you own your city. And that is where you get to, which is, Bruce, where you sat for a long time, in authority marketing. But again, you can't go from one to the other. And doctors oftentimes think, well, how do I get on TV, or how do I do Hulu ads, or how do I, and you have no business doing that if you have not set the proper foundation first, because it will not be successful, right? It really does come with a specific set of a marketing strategy to get you there. Because what happens is you go from 0 to 100 and you have nothing in the middle that has gotten you gradually there to set up that marketing foundation. And so again, you really have to have this robust strategy of internal, external, and community all set up, but you have to have also those pieces in between to help support everything else that you're doing. And then once you can activate that authority marketing piece, where patients are coming hours to see you because you are the person, right? That you have worked now for years to get that branding out. We've got video and photo content. You have testimonials, you've got reviews, you've got all these things, right? That now supports you being the guy that people come to see. Now that has it's that perfect marketing system. So again, that is where we kind of help guide these doctors through. And if they trust the process, we've got doctors that have, again, they have trusted the process, and they come to us and they're like, I could have not done it without you. And again, they've done all the work, right? We have just simply been their guide through all of it of, hey, let us show you how it's done, right? And they're retiring earlier, they're cutting back days, right, sooner than they thought. They're more profitable than they ever thought that they could be. But again, it's just about putting those pieces in the right spot and activating them when the time is right. So
that was my opportunity, over 35 years, but my last 14 years, I only worked Mondays and Tuesdays, but I was producing double, triple what producing on a full day work week. Why? Because I didn't understand the system when I started 25 years ago. I just that I'd read some article about phone companies. They spend like some ridiculously large percentage of their budget was marketing, and these phone companies, well, what are dentists doing? We're not doing anything. And so, and that, of course, I came into dentistry in the early 80s when marketing was just kind of happening. But and what did I do? I threw stuff against the wall for 15 years, but I was committed to that 8%. And because I come up with it, well, 8%, I just said, yeah, let's do 8%. That was my number. I just said, let's just do 8. And I did that for 25 years. As my business was at 50,000, that was 4,000 a month. When it grew to 100,000, now it's 8,000 a month. When it grew to 2, and now I'm spending 16. The truth is, at 500,000 a month, is it possible to do that? Yes, it's possible to do that in Granbury, Texas, in a little small town. It's possible to do is have a $6 million practice. But guess what?
Yeah.
At $5 million, I'm spending 8%. I'm spending 40 grand a month on my marketing. Did I feel it? No. It's part of my budget, part of my commitment to do that. One other thing I want to share with our listeners, and we've got so many people that listen to the show, but is that allowed me to do the dentistry I wanted to do, not the dentistry that PPOs just sent me. I fortunately, but I wanted if I had this skill of using the laser to treat periodontal disease, I wanted to get the word out to all the people that need it. As opposed to just hoping somebody that needed gum surgery came to see me. So, and I think people just do that. And so that's the one thing I really love about the Phoenix, marketing agency. It is part of a philosophy. It's not a one and done. And there's people, and it's really funny because dentists get pissed off at their marketing companies. Oh, yeah, I used 3 months. I usually got 3 months. I didn't see any difference. Well, that's because you're a freaking idiot. Because bottom line, you have a strategy in your own brain that is totally broken. You think that just because you spend $50, you're going to get 5,000 back. It doesn't happen that way. But what happens? You consistently do something. It's kind of like when you wake up in the morning, you work out consistently every day. And you do the work. Guess what? You notice it in your body. You notice it and how you notice it in your joints. You notice it throughout. But if you just get up, I'm just going to spend $50 this month, and I hope I get 500. It's going to happen. You go to Disneyland and have fun because dentistry's not Disneyland. Dentistry has
and here's the other thing that I think we're all dental nerds, right? We can talk, deep dentistry, new technology, all that stuff all day long, but our patients have no idea what this stuff means. And so oftentimes, I don't think that dentists understand how crucial the language and the messaging of marketing is. I see websites all the time that talk about dental procedures on their websites. And I'm like, you guys realize that you've lost a patient far before they go to your website and they're like, see ya, I'm done. Because that means nothing to them. They know that you're a dentist. What our patients need to feel is that emotional connection. And so we help, doctors every day that come to us that are like, man, my website isn't working, or man, things just aren't working in my office. And I'm like, because they know nothing about you. And what's crazy is we're one of, I think, 5 agencies in the nation that actually have a full-time video team that focuses on dentistry only. And if I could tell a doctor one thing, two things. I tell them 2 things is I would say, 1, you better start focusing on your internal marketing and have a strategy. Give me a call. I can help you with that. But the other thing is you better have authentic messaging on your website because you are losing patients before they even call your office. They're finding out about you. And if you have stock images at all on your website, if you do not have a video that is authentic to you, where you're saying, hey, this is how I want my patients to feel before they even see you, you have to build trust within 10 seconds of your patients meeting you. Otherwise, they're going to your competition. Because again, the competition is heavy out there, right? We know that. And the dentists who are investing in their business and in their practices, who are investing in messaging that is authentic. Again, we are very big about that. who are you outside of dentistry? How do you want patients to feel? What do you do besides implants? Yeah, you do implants, but so does every other dentist. What else, right? What else is it? That's the message that we focus on. And if your branding and messaging is not full of that messaging, like they're going to your competition. So those are the two things I would tell doctors, like give us a call. Like, we can help you with that, because it's like, get videos going, have your website full of that stuff, have like even your team. I mean, we've got team that are on social media all day long. They love videos. They're on TikTok, right? Have your team filming videos. Like, that makes a huge difference with patients, because they have to feel something. Like, we are very much now about, that. I mean, everything is fast, right? Like, we go through drive-throughs, we have grocery delivery, we have prescription pickup. I mean, Amazon is 2 days, right? We get annoyed when we have to wait a week for stuff right now, right? So again, our patients are the same way. They're not going to be patient with scrolling through your website, reading paragraphs and paragraphs of verbiage about you. They want to know within 15 seconds who you are. And if they can't feel something with you and can't make a connection with your practice, they're moving on. So again, it's really important that your messaging is very much about your philosophy of care, who you are, how you show up for patients. That is crucial. And if you don't have videos and photos on your website that represents that, they're moving on. So,
what's so funny is I'd have patients that would say to me, because we done video for 25 years, and
yeah,
and
yeah,
would say, "Oh, doc, whatever you tell me, I just feel like I already know you." They just,
yes,
I trust you, and where'd they get that trust? Well, it came from authentic videos of us
yes.
and showing real pictures and real stuff, real time stuff. So good grief. We could talk about this for the next.
I, I know. I feel like we need like a marketing series, huh?
You need to do that, Sarah. But I really want to thank you for being with me this morning, and the Phoenix Dental Agency. I mean, what an amazing group of committed people that understand the real deal in dental.
Yeah.
It's not a one and done, but we want to hold your hand, and then we want to raise your hand in celebration together, because
Yes.
not a one and done. And that's what if
Yeah.
we could ever get out and tell people, people just don't understand. I say, dentists, we just don't understand because we just never were trained in this. But you've given
Right.
ton of information today to our listeners, and I look forward to our next time that we get together. So
Yes.
tell your friends about the Productive Dentist Podcast. You can now vote for the Productive Dentist Podcast and our other podcasts at PDA. We were fortunate enough to be the number one, I think, 2 years ago, and in the top 10 last year. But we want to get back up there again this year. So, Sarah, thanks so much for your time this morning.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. It was good to be here.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you subscribe. Pass it along to a friend. Give us a like on iTunes and Spotify, or drop me an email at podcast@productivedentist.com. Don't forget to check out other podcasts from the Productive Dentist Academy at productivedentistpodcast.com. Join me again next week for another episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.